Hi, this is Noah. In this video, I want to talk about this bridge we are building. We are designing right now. I know we have permits. We're ready to start building. But usually I like to go through the plans and see exactly what we're building and then transfer all this information over to a 3D model. That way I can start seeing how, if there's going to be any conflicts or anything. So I take all these plans. Uh, this is like this guardrail. This is for continuous guardrail, and I know we want to do a removable guardrail. So we're changing some of these details here. So we can't start building a lot of this stuff until we know exactly what we're building. So some of this here we're gonna apply a shoe to this to make this a little bit different, and then the bearing detail is going to be changing a little bit here too. So let me move this out of the way. And this is the model here. Okay, you have to excuse all the pretty colors, but it helps me to visualize how this is gonna work. Okay, so this is the bridge here, and this is how it's gonna look. Okay, and so what we're doing is adding all this here. Okay, and just I can pull some measurements. So come on, bring this back. Let me get my measuring tape. So from face of guardrail post to face of guardrail post. Come on. Right there, we're looking at 144 inches. Okay, let me change that over to feet for you real quick. All right, so hopefully that's a little easier to read. So that's 12 foot from face of post to face of post. Now, I believe these are 4x8 tubes that we're applying here. So the measurement between face of tube, let me get a little closer, from here to this face here, right there. So that is 11 foot 4 inches. Sorry, I got a bit of a frog. Hold on a second. Let me take a drink of water. Okay, so that's 11 foot 4 inches. I still got a bit of a frog. Hopefully you can understand me. So those are the measurements we're working with there. Now, as we look at how are we doing that? So we're adding all these elements here. So you can see we're adding this C channel, a whole bunch of arms. We're adding this C channel here, and this is what's not on the drawings. Right now the drawings show this W6 by, I believe it's a 16-inch I-beam, but we're adding this shoe. So instead of welding this I-beam to this blue side sill, this blue C channel, we're going to add this light blue shoe around, and then this that allows it to, you can see that we're going to have a little bit of a gap. It's a 1/4 inch gap total, 1/8 inch all the way around, and then there's also this little seat. I'll show you more details on that in a little bit. So that's what it kind of looks like. Obviously we'll paint it all the same color, and we do have to add these little, so in between each section we do have a bit of a gap. In this area here I left it without the cover, but we're aiming for a bit of a gap between here of about a 1/2 inch. Okay, so each section is going to have a 1/2 inch gap. Now we don't want that to be just loose like this. We want it to be covered. We do want this to be kind of smooth all the way through, so we need to add a cover. Okay, so what does that look like? This is what each panel is going to look like. Okay, so once we pull this out of these pockets, or out of these shoes, these little pockets, post pockets, this is what it's going to look like. So one panel is going to have the post, the top rail, the mid rail, and all these little 1x1s all the way through. Then we'll also include these little caps. Okay, now not every panel is going to have these caps. Obviously, the panel that it's on either side of this won't have those cap joints or joint caps, as we don't need them. We only need them on every other panel. So that's the way that looks right there. And these shoes, here, these chairs, will just help it when you're lowering this panel into the shoe or the pocket. It gives that somewhere to stop. So once it hits this chair, it'll that obviously that I-beam won't be able to go any lower in that pocket. That's what it's going to look like right there. Now I do want to point out the weight, right? So the weight of this. So the each panel is about 7 foot 3 inches. They do all vary a few inches, though not all of them are going to be exactly 7 foot 3 inches. They do vary a little bit. But I believe this is the longest one or close to the longest one. I went through there and measured them and see which one's going to be the longest. But I think this is the longest. But don't hold me to that. We could be plus or minus a few inches here. So the top tube is a 6x2. Just that top tube weighs 68 pounds, and that's 9.42 pounds per linear foot. The 8x4 is 19.02 pounds per linear foot for 138 pounds. And all these little 1x1s are about 1.32 pounds per linear foot, a total of about 10 pounds for all these here. Okay, and then we have the W6x16, 73 pounds. And here I did all the math for you here. So 146 pounds for 2 posts, top rail 68, the bottom rail is, or the big rail is 138 pounds. 6 of these small rails are 58 pounds. And miscellaneous, we're going to add these little chairs or stops, these little caps. So figure about 10 pounds for a total of about 420 pounds. So this is not something that you'll be able to just do by hand. You'll need to have a excavator or a forklift or something that's going to help you to pick up this panel and remove it and set it back in place. And I will tell you that getting these pockets, getting this in and out of here is not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy. It's still going to be tight. Now we'll try to test fit it and test remove it on our site, but because you're going to get some corrosion and some buildup in between this post and this shoe or this pocket, it's going to be a pain. So you'll want to spray this with lubricant really well before you try to remove it, and wiggle it and come back. And so it's going to be a multi-day process to remove these panels. And even then, it's not going to be easy. We need this thing to be snug. We don't want it to slop around too much. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to be terribly easy to remove these, but that's kind of how we have to do it in order to make them compliant. Okay. Now the other thing I want to talk about is are the bearing kits. Now we talked about measurements before, and the measurement I was giving you before was from top of deck to this sight sill here for a total of just shy of 1 foot 11 inches. But we're having to add these shims because we're going to build your bridge at an angle. Let me pull your drawing back up again. So you can see your bridge is built askew, and we don't know what that elevation height is. So the height between this and this, we don't know what that's going to be. You know, are we looking at the bridge sitting fairly level or way off skew? We don't know what that is. So I can't build that. I can't build this because we're going to need to build this at a slope like this. So it's going to need to look like this with these shims. These are 4x4s, 4x4 tubes. We're going to need to build those at a slope, but I don't know what that slope is until you tell me the elevation from top of bank to top of bank. Once I know that, I'll be able to get the proper pitch to that. And that's how this is going to look here. Another change we're making, or I'm suggesting that we make, is adding this yellow top plate. If we look at your plans now, it calls for the, let me go back down to right here. Let me zoom in on that. So we have this plate here, number 7. Is the red plate here. Okay, a red plate is number 7, and these tubes are the number 5. Okay, number 5, I'll zoom out so you can see what that is. Number 7 is a reinforcement plate per plan. And number 5 are these 4x4 by 1/4 inch tubes that we use as shims. Okay, now we don't like to ship those out just with those. Well, let me go back to the plan. I'll kind of show you what that looks like. So whenever you get this to the bridge site, we typically want to have this entire assembly setting in place on your abutments before the bridge arrives. We want it to look like this, okay? And then you'll set the bridge on top, um, directly on top of that, and then you'll weld it. It's pretty easy to weld these two pieces together just like this. But if we didn't have that, if we had this yellow piece missing, let me delete that real quick. If we had this yellow piece missing, and you were to try to put your bridge on top of that, and this bridge typically, whenever you're setting it in place, it's not just a super easy, super smooth setting. It usually sometimes there's bumps there's jostling, and I don't want these plates or anything caught, and potentially these little shims, these tubes, toppled over or damaged or bent or misaligned. So I like to add this top plate. That way it gives us some protection. Okay, so this top plate, these wedges, and this steel plate uh, will be uh, will all come together in one assembly. Okay, so let me drop this again. So we'll ship this out separately, and even in this, you can see there's two plates, or there's two different things here. Um, this top um, this bottom piece here, the light pink, is going to be a neoprene pad, 3/4 inch thick neoprene pad, and we're going to ship that to you. You can use that as a template for your bolt placement. So we'll ship that 12 by 36 inch neoprene pad. We'll ship it via UPS or FedEx. We'll get that over to you. Use that as a template, and then and you'll leave that. You can, if you want to leave that attached to the abutments, you can. And then on top of that is going to be this kind of dark pink is going to be the steel plate. So this steel plate, these orange shims, and this yellow top plate will all arrive welded together as one assembly, and you'll set that over and on top of the neoprene pad. Okay, so once that's together, once this entire assembly is bolted down to your concrete, then a day or two later, or however long you want to wait, when the bridge arrives, you'll just set the bridge on top of this yellow plate. Remember, the yellow plate, the orange plate, pink plate, those are all welded together. One uniform, one complete kit. Okay, those will be all welded together. You won't be able to take those apart. And then once the bridge arrives, you'll weld this red plate to the yellow plate. Okay, that's really much easier to weld. You can see getting inside there is going to be much easier to get inside there to weld. Okay, but we won't be able to build this until we know the angles or the elevation differences between bank to bank. Okay, and even when we ship the bridge out, this is showing what the deck looks like, what it would look like when you're done. But whenever we ship it out, we're going to ship it out like this. Okay, without the secondary deck on there. This is ideal. You won't be able to finalize the bridge until the finished deck is installed, but this is what the deck looks like right now, and this is going to allow you to run your heavy equipment across there, build whatever you need to build, and get your house built. I'm not sure if you're going to finalize the bridge before you do your house or your structure, but typically we would run heavy equipment on the existing decking, and then when you're finished with the construction, you'll apply that secondary layer, and then it'll look like a brand new bridge again. If you put the wood deck on now, or put the wood deck on before you start building your house, then this, with all the heavy construction, it's going to wear out and make this nice brand new deck look kind of, just wore out already. So we typically want to wait until that's done. One thing that's going to deviate from the plans as well, as this is one of the reasons why I like to do 3D modeling. I noticed a conflict that the plans show that this yellow angle iron, this yellow C channel, is supposed to be flush to the top of this side sail, but we can't do that. We got to drop it a little bit in order to get a good weld bead on there. That created a bit of conflicts with this channel. So it looks like um, so far we're looking at having a 5/8 inch gap between that board and this C channel. So we'll probably have to shim that um, in order for that to be tight. Okay, so but we'll double check that measurements once we actually build it. We'll see if we end up with a 5/8 inch gap there or not. We can add a 5/8 inch flat bar there, or there's a couple things we can do. But so far, that's the only conflict that I have between the plans and the buildability of this bridge. So pretty minor. Um, and also, if we want us to add a closure plate, a plate that covers up this hole here, I'm assuming you're gonna pack soil up against this. So usually we would have put a 1/4 inch plate just to cover that hole up right there, so soil doesn't fall in back over here anywhere. But that's pretty minor detail. Okay, any questions? Let me know. Let me know if I'm on the right path. Let me know if that makes sense to you. If these light blue shoes make sense to you. If these chairs make sense. But looks pretty good. Then you'll have to obviously take these and stack them up somewhere. Um, the top tube and this heavy mid tube, those are gonna be pretty rock solid. I'm not concerned about those being damaged at all. I am a little bit more concerned about these right here, since they are just kind of sticking out there. Are these going to be bent? So, and honestly, I don't build enough of these to give you an opinion right now. But I think once we get these built and we see how flimsy they are, if I feel like these tubes are going to be likely to be damaged during transport or assembly, or we may want to add a stiffener, a piece of flat bar or angle iron or something that ties these kind of all these bars together on each end to give it some rigidity. Um, I don't want to design it now because I'm just concerned about weight. I don't want to add more weight without really justifying it and seeing if we really need that or not. So let me know what you think. If you want me to change anything, I'll be happy to. I think that's it. I appreciate it. Thanks.